All right. Hello, everyone, parents, in-house and online. So I'm going to try to do this in a way that it makes sense to somebody other than me. We are up, right? You all let me know if something doesn't look quite right. Okay, that's all I can say. I am Frizelma Lynn. I am the Parenting 911 coach, and this is our citywide event. So now, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we'll figure it out. That's the kind of person I am. We figure it out as we go. So today we are talking about bullying. We've got to stop the hate. We've got to teach parents what to do. We've got to teach children what to do. Sometimes we even have to talk with teachers and make sure they understand what to do. So we're talking about bullying. I am Frizelma Lynn. As I said, I'm an author, a coach, a master teacher. I'm a retired teacher and administrator. I am a cancer survivor. So cancer was in my sinuses. Half of my face was cut out, removed, and they reconstructed one, and God still has me here. So that's me. We are going to discuss these things today. Defining bullying, types of bullying, signs of bullying, and addressing bullying, seeing what we need to do as a community. All right. I want to give appreciation to the city of Opelika, Mayor Fuller, and the city council people, to the Opelika Public Library for letting us be here, to Opelika City Schools. They allow us to send out emails to our parents to let them know, to the Opelika Police Department, because they are here today and will help us join in what we talk about on today. Fruit of the Spirit brings our refreshments. Yeah, if you're not here, so you need to be here. We have food to eat. We have other special guests. Mr. Tamarcus Milner is one of them. And hopefully Mr. Tremel Mitchell will be able to join us as well. Hopefully our Spanish translator will be here, because we are welcoming everyone to come, and we want those who have English as their second language to be able to understand what we're talking about, and our volunteers. So what parents need to know about bullying, and we want questions, because when you leave, we want you to have a toolkit of knowing what to do if this happens to your children or to you. 1 out of every 5 children in our country is still being bullied by other kids at school. We're really talking about that. And honestly, that number may have increased. Bullying doesn't just happen at school. It really happens in places you think are safe. It sometimes is happening on the playground, or at a sleepover, or on a date. Just because you know the family, that doesn't mean that something is not happening with your child when no one is there to supervise. All right. So bullying can happen anywhere, at a family reunion. I mean, think about that. You don't even think about the fact that your child could be bullied by a cousin that they never met before. It's a family reunion. But you have to be careful about everywhere. Defining bullying, what it is and what it's not. So we have to understand the context and the nature of the behavior, because I have had some students to say, I'm being bullied. And then I've had some that I'm watching their behavior and they wouldn't say anything. So we have to understand the context and the nature of the behavior. Here is the question: what does it look like to you? I'm finding that this is a great question to ask about anything I'm talking about, because different ones have different perceptions. So I need for you all to talk to me. What does it look like to you?
Continuous picking on, being picked on continuously.
Continuous picking on somebody, just picking on you continuously. All right, great. Anybody else? And I see heads nodding. Anyone else?
It can be a physical abuse, just because I guess the difference of size or whatever it may need to be, they may try to use their
Mm, yeah.
bigger size and try to, force it upon a kid or whatever that may be smaller than them and whatnot.
Sure, absolutely.
For their phones.
Ooh, now we're getting into that cyber stuff.
And bully, kids can be bullied because of their ideals
Oh,
are different.
oh, good. That's really good. Absolutely. All right, I want to make sure everybody's hearing what you all are saying. Absolutely. All those things are bullying. Okay. And we have to know it and know what it looks like, or we'll miss it. And our children will be crying out, trying to tell us, and we won't be listening or paying attention enough to even know what it is. All right, so let's talk about what it is. Now, don't worry about the letters that look misplaced. You know, sometimes you change the format, and I don't have time to worry about it. I did try to change it, it doesn't want to cooperate. So, we're going to talk about what it is. It's intentional harm doing, like one said, picking on somebody. It's intentional harm doing. It involves deliberate action. It's not, we're going to talk in a minute about what is not. Guess what? It's not a mistake. It's something you're doing and you know you're doing. As officers might say, it's premeditated. You thought about that thing. You watched that child. You picked out somebody that you felt like, you said overpowered, that you felt like you could overpower. All right? It is repetitious. Let's say that. It is repetitious. However, it is also just the potential of repetition. So we can't say that just because it happens one time that it's not bullying. It may have only happened one time because you were in that person's presence only one time. But if you had been in their presence more, it would have kept happening. Your intent was still to bully that person. Right? That power imbalance, all right? And that's what was mentioned too. When you perceive you have more power than somebody, it can be physical size, it can be mentality. You know, some of us think we can talk so smoothly, we can out-talk anybody and put them down and belittle them and degrade them and make them feel like nothing. Well, yeah, that's bullying. That's what that's called. All right. The impact, the behavior always has a negative impact on the victim, the person being bullied, making them, as we say, feel some kind of way about themselves, right? Making them feel smaller than who they really are. It is a pattern. That's that continuous thing. Or it's the potential of a pattern if they have that opportunity of just forcing unwanted aggressive behavior on someone. It's unwanted. You can tell by the body language of a person, and you definitely can tell when the person says stop. Okay. What it isn't that accident. You know, you bump into, I bumped into people, it was an accident. Sometimes I didn't even know they were there. It was an accident. It was not intentional. And guess what? It never happened again. Accidents do happen. I mentioned earlier that I have had students to come and say somebody's bullying me when I was an administrator and a teacher. Well, I need to know more. All right. I need to know when. I need to know where. I need to know what was said, what was done. I need to know what it was, because what if it was just an accident? Yes, they knocked your book bag off your desk, but was that an accident? So I've got to investigate and find out, has it been happening? Find out what's going on. Who? All right. Equal power conflict. People get into arguments. An argument toe to toe, that's not really considered bullying. Bullying is when one person seems to have more power over the other. All right. That's not toe to toe. Okay. That might be when one raises their hand, though, at the other. As I consider domestic violence bullying. I said I. Okay, that's what I consider that. Normal peer interaction. So, teasing and making fun and laughing at somebody, all of that. But now, don't get me wrong, that can turn into bullying. It might start off okay, but when that person starts cowering down and you see you kind of got them, and you keep putting that joke, they're always the butt of the joke. Guess what? That turns into bullying. It isn't an unplanned human mistake. All right, that's not bullying. Unplanned, just a human mistake, an accident, a harmless joke. It's not that. But it is when it turns into something different when you see you're hurting someone and you keep doing it intentionally. It is that imbalance of power or perceived power. I thought about sometimes, like you see gang members, and usually their leader, and many times is a small person, leading all these big guys. Well, he's perceived, though, to have power. All right, you have a victim and then the aggressor. It's always imbalanced. It involves, it says all youth because we're talking to parents about children. So there are different sides of bullying. There is the one who is bullying, the one being bullied, and the one standing by with their phone sometimes, just trying to say, and just going, oh, no, no, no. That bystander. All right. All of those areas, though, affect us as adults. If you were bullied, it's affecting you right now. If you were the bully, still affecting you. If you were the bystander and you know you were standing by laughing and looking, and especially if you are now a parent, a whole different effect. Okay. Youth who bully can either be the cool person on the campus. See, we sometimes think that, oh no, you got the wrong boy, you got the wrong girl. They'll never do that. They know everybody, they're cool with everybody. Sorry. They could be a bully. Guess what else? They could be bullied. Because they're the cool person does not exempt them. Okay? Solutions to bullying are not simple. We were talking about this a little earlier, how parents sometimes think that if they find out their child is bullied, they want to just handle it. They want to go up to the school. They're ready to get in another person's child's face. But is that the protocol? Mm-mm. Oh, I see administrator here. I know. It is not the protocol. And so what parents have to find out is what to do and how to do things the right way. And that is not one person handling it all, but if you let everybody know. So if the child comes to you, first of all, listen, let's start there. If the child is trying to tell you something that's going on and you're the mom, the dad, the grandparent, the aunt, the uncle, the foster parent, the step parent, whatever that may be, listen. You've got to hear them first so that you can take them seriously. Then you are to contact the school officials. You can contact the teachers. You can contact the AP, assistant principals. You can contact the counselors. Yeah, I know some want to go past all of them and just go straight to the principal. There is protocol. Okay. So make sure everybody is involved. If the bullying is happening on the bus, then the school officials, guess who they're going to talk to? The bus driver. Because that's the person that needs to have their eye on the situation. If it's happening in the cafeteria, then even cafeteria workers can start paying more attention. Teachers can pay more attention when they take their children to the cafeteria. But if we're all working together, then we can truly kind of quickly resolve it and get more to the root of it. All right. Bystanders. Yeah, this is a day we're living in where bystanders will watch someone lose their life as long as they can video. And that is a horrible thing for one human being to do to another human being. We have to teach our children that. All right. We have to teach our children that. We have to teach our children, yes, you might not be able to put yourself in harm's way, but please go and get help. And yeah, the video can be evidence to show everybody what happened, but you don't want to just do that and the person lose their life and all you had to do was scream out help. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. All right, we're letting you know the aggressor, the one doing the bullying, the victim, the one being bullied, and then the bystander taking it like it's all a show. All right, so kids who are bullied can experience a lot of negativity. You're talking about physical, social, emotional, academic, and mental health issues. All right, so they can be depressed, they can have anxiety, they can have loneliness and sadness. I'm going to ask for some assistance to just see if they need assistance getting in. All right. They'll start talking about my head hurts, my stomach hurts, things that to keep them from going to school. All right, things to keep them from going to school. Their eating habits will change. Some will stop eating and some will start eating. She's supposed to be coming. She went to visit her grandmother today, so she's supposed to be on her way. If you will, you can go ahead and use my phone and let's see and let them know. All right, you all hold on. We're on a pause. We're trying to take care of everybody. All right, you can use that right there and find out. Go ahead. Go. You can just find out if she's coming. All right, so children, if you notice your children, we talk about studying children all the time. Children study us. They know, I'm telling you what, it's almost like they count every eyelash on our eyes. They're studying us. We as the adults have got to study them. You ought to know when something's going different with your child. They're acting a little different. They're just not themselves. They don't want to join in the fun activities that they used to look forward to. They don't really want to talk. They want to isolate themselves. A child that has never been absent from school will now not want to go. So we have to pay attention to all of those things. That A student will start becoming a B student, a C student, a D student, an F student. Because now psychologically they can't even think and it's getting to the point that don't even care. All right. A very small number of bullied children might retaliate. In the 90s, 12 to 15 of those school shooters were bullied. So you have to pay attention. Any questions? Don't ever miss or dismiss what a child is trying to tell you. And we do it so easily. Like, boy, nobody bothering you. Girl, it was just playing. And we move on and act like it's absolutely nothing going on. No big deal. But we got to listen. All right. Kids who bully others can also engage in violent and risky behaviors as adults because the more they think they have the power, then they get bolder and bolder and bolder. All right. Um, They are more likely to abuse alcohol and other drugs, get into fights, vandalize property, drop out of school, engage in early sexual activities, have criminal convictions, traffic citations, and be abusive to their partners, their romantic partners, their spouses, their children. So now there's a history. That started when they were in elementary school being a bully, and maybe no one paid attention, nobody told anybody else, and now they are adults with children. All right, hello, you all come in, have a seat. Now, the bystanders. These are the kids who witness bullying. More than likely, they have an increase in tobacco use and alcohol use, mental health issues, and they start missing school. Now, some of them, you have to realize if they said something, now they may be scared. Okay, because the bully can easily turn their attention from this one right to you. So now they're a little scared. Okay, or they can also feel bad because they didn't say anything. And they watched somebody be crushed over and over. And they knew it and never said a word. Right? I hope I didn't. Okay, I'm good. So many won't say anything, and we have to talk to our children about how to help somebody. How to help somebody if they see someone else that needs help. Now, I've got to stop right here with the parenting part because, I'm a parenting coach. I need for you to understand that we are responsible for teaching children character, not the teachers. I know they have character curriculum. We are responsible for teaching our children how to be good human beings, how to care about somebody else. Never do a wrong thing to make a friend or to keep one. Because if that's the case, they must not be your friend. All right. Takeaways from what we've already talked about. Ooh, I saw that look. Takeaways. Anybody want to? Let's talk about it.
I mean, I'll say that anytime the topic of bullying is had, I always think about, of course, when my generation came up, I had the same conversation with kids now, but it's like the things that are considered bullying these days wasn't as much when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting to see how that has shifted. And who knows, it may have been bullying then too.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a society, just in, or maybe where you grew up in,
right?
It was perceived as one. So
Right.
Your norm was just your norm.
Yeah, the generational perspectives are so different. So different. But we've got to pay attention to all of that too. Anybody else have a comment? Question? Yes, ma'am.
A question. So kids who are doing the bullying, they grow up into adulthood, and if something isn't
addressed,
yes, for them, then what?
Then they become some of those children that will vandalize things. They end up doing, all types of things in life that are not good morals. They may not have good morals. Unfortunately, now I have to be straight with you. If nothing is addressed with them, they'll also teach their children to be bullies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got to be real. They will teach their children to bully someone else if it's never addressed.
So then is power then?
Yes, ma'am. It's all about power.
Even with them teaching their kids?
So they want their children to have that perception of power too. Yes, ma'am. Comments? Okay. Well, we have our first guest. Mr. Tamarcus Milner. Yes. All right. Oh, I got a nice picture up there. Look at that. Oh, don't play. Don't play. Don't play. See? Uh-huh. So he is the assistant principal at Opelika Learning Center. I didn't know if this was correct, but I put it like I thought it. So the education person and president of the Curtis House, recognized by the National Forum of Black Educators as the MLK Educator of the Year. Class of 2023, 20 under 40, the executive board member of the Kiwanis Club and Opelika Envision Board, and then happily engaged. And I'm going to let you, introduce. All right, so you come on up here, Mr. Milner. We're about to put you front and center on the camera. All right, all right.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, everybody. That was my little bio, I guess, or whatnot. And I am engaged to Yapi and Terry, who is here today with me. And proud father of 3 girls. My oldest is Kinsley, a niece. She's 17. Actually, will be graduating this year. So if y'all want to start a collection for me on that side on the table, I'd be more than happy. Don't be bashful. Just dig deep. No, but my 2 other daughters are McKenna, and she is 10, and my youngest baby girl is Kamarlin. She's 9. Will be turning 10 in a couple of weeks too. So yeah, that's why I said I need that collection plate going around. No, but again, I am thankful for Miss Lynn for having me here today. As you guys know, this is a topic that you can never have enough of. I always give the spiel about where I work. You know, again, I'm the assistant principal at Opelika Learning Center. It is the alternative program for Opelika City Schools. Um, I always get the spiel that, oh my gosh, you're at the alternative school. I pray for you. How you work with over there with those type of kids and everything. And I always, myself and my boss, Mr. Sherfield, we always tell everybody that the alternative program is not as what is perceived, right? We don't always have just a certain group of kids that come to us for a period of time. We actually are the example of what Opelika City School is in totality, right? We always tell everybody too, we have a lot of kids over there who are not necessarily bad kids. They were a lot like a lot of us in the room, wasn't necessarily a bad kid, whatnot. Um, if y'all want to share some, if y'all had the opportunity to share some stories of some things that y'all did when you was in school, you were like, yeah, I probably should have been in an alternative program too. Right. So when we hit them with that, they were like, yeah, I ain't think about it that way. Yeah. Okay. So that's why I say, we embody everybody, every inch of Opelika City Schools. It's not just of troubled kids or kids who are coming from a rough background or necessarily bad or anything. They may have made one mistake, got them in trouble, and there's a consequence for it. They may, honestly, what I've seen a lot lately here is we have a lot of kids who just don't do the big schools. They don't do the big high school. They don't do the big middle school. They would rather be somewhere where it's a little more intentional.
Yeah.
Smaller classroom settings. I don't worry about the prom. I don't worry about the games. I'm good. Let me just go to school, get my work, and I can go home. And it's shocking, but that is a reality. Yeah. And I always try to let people know that anytime I get a chance to speak about where I work, so everybody can learn and educate themselves more about, as far as the alternative program for Black City Schools. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know for us, that's who we embody. Yeah. And so, you asked me to speak on bullying in perspective and whatnot. I would say one of the biggest things, what I tell parents in particular when it comes to, and you touched on it earlier, Ms. Lynn, when it comes to talking about dealing with your kid, take off your ears and put on a whole new set. And they look at me like, what do you mean by that? Well, like Ms. Lynn touched on, all of us, a lot of things you have about a perspective of things that we're talking about now. As you heard me earlier, I said, bullying for me growing up was nothing how it was now. When she said family reunions, that I was laughing just to myself about it, because I'm like, dang, that probably happens all the time in the family reunions of my family, because my fiance can tell you we joke on people all the time. That's all I know. And I've been in education for 16 years, and I'll be honest with you, I tell kids now, I'm like, hey, you want to get in that ring and start joking now? Let's go, because I can go. And oh, Mr. Miller, you gonna do that? I'm like, okay, well, when I hit below, don't you get mad at me and everything. So yeah, I'm glad I don't get those moments caught on tape or anything. I probably would be in education. No, but seriously though, but it did make me think about just how your habits that you have in your own households or families, and how those things carry over into your schools, right? And into the individual classrooms, and no matter what role you may be, as you asked earlier, if those things don't get resolved, then how does that affect their person become as an adult? And so it made me think about, like I said, I'm not saying my family is bad. We just joke a lot, and it made me think about how I was in school. It's like, dang, man, I by how bullying is considered to be now, I would say I was a bully in school. Man, never thought about it that way. Wow. But it's a reality. Because I would joke and tease a lot. I would know the kid that I know I can joke on and use my power per se, whatever I may have, right? And impose that on that kid. Yeah. And so I wonder sometimes now, especially now being in an administrator role, which I have been in for about half of my time I've been in education, it makes me reflect on the times of where that kid that I was joking on a lot in school and how they are now as an adult. Did I affect them in a way? If I get a chance to see them cross paths, is this my chance that God tell me to correct those things, right? To let them know, like, I didn't get it, man. If there was anything I did wrong to hurt you in any type of way, I apologize. But going back to my point, like I said, though, with all that being said, I ask for parents to always, like I said, take your ears off and put on a new set. Reason being, it allows you to see and hear and listen to your child exactly for what they are in front of you. If you don't, you're going to go with the mindset of, like I was talking about earlier, what I consider what was bullying. And you're going to miss some of the things that you listed up there, some of their patterns or behaviors that have changed. You'll dismiss it. You won't think about it as much. You're finding an excuse for it or whatnot. And it's really hard these days because most of us in this room, if we're parents, it's we're more busy now as parents as we're our parents. We're working, we're on the clock almost like 14, 15 hours a day, it seems like, and maybe have this much time as far as to pour back into your kids at home. And with now, as we talked about earlier, with the social media and the world of internet being as strong as it is and having the influence on our kids, that can substitute for the parenting that needs to be poured back into your household to have that nurturing aspect. So that's why I always challenge parents is to make sure, like I said, just have a new set of ears in regards to just making sure that you understand your child exactly for what they have going on, and don't prejudge or pre-think or speak for them. That's a real big mistake I see a lot. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I love that, and I say this a lot. Listen with the intent of listening, not listen for the intent to answer or respond. Because we as parents are constantly listening to have an answer to the question to fix it. Yeah. And a lot of times the kids, we're not thinking about what they're saying. We're automatically thinking about a solution, how to fix it, which is fine. Right. But we're missing a lot of the things that our kids are saying.
Right. Right.
So they don't want advice in most cases. And what you're saying.
Sometimes I ask my students that come to my office, do you want me to listen or do you want me to listen for a response? That's right. I give them that option. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they need to get it all out. And then I'll say, well, can I respond? Would you like me to help you with this situation? And that gives me the opportunity to sit back and know what their intentions are when they're talking with me. So that is, even with my own children, do you want me to listen or do you want me to listen to have an end response to it? And it's a whole different realm of listening, putting on those listening ears.
Absolutely. That's something this week alone, I probably said about 10 times to different kids. Do you want me to listen to understand or listen to respond? Yeah. Or do you know the difference between the two? And they get stuck for some of them because most of them, they just listen to respond because they got something to say back real quick. Yeah. But like you said, that's very important, Ms. Vickers. When you get that point across, it does open up a different avenue of communication to be allowed to be able to take place. From a school standpoint, it also makes me think about when bullying did take place in K through 12 for me, what were the resources that were had, right? I think about the DARE program. I know that was something that was big in school when I was coming up. We had our counselors, and I think that was about it. And but now we have grad coaches. Ms. Lynn is one. And grad coaches are those who are hired through the school system, who are assigned to a couple of kids here and there, whatever it may need to be, and they just kind of basically keep tabs on that kid. Another ally, I would say, for that student and the family to help them as they matriculate throughout grade school. If that was something that was had when I was in school, I didn't know about it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it was. 'Cause like I said, I think a lot of things was on the counselors per se at the time when I was coming up in grade school, especially in the elementary. I remember the small groups we would have, and you go to the library and have all the character education sessions and everything like that. So I remember a lot of those things. But I think one big thing that is important now that is in the school system that we didn't have before is having a mental health coordinator. That's huge. Um, Especially part of OPD can really speak on as far as how mental health plays a factor in a lot of the things that they see with the people, however they come across the paths of meeting them. But I think mental health is something that is, I think it's been one of those underlining issues for a very long time. And my personal opinion, I think with the world of social media being what it is, I think it has helped amplify it more, bring more attention to it. Because now you have a lot of kids who will go to social media and they will cry out there, you know. And because of social media, to that point, another resource that school systems have is this program is called Bark, right? And I know Miss Vickers knows that very well. She's a counselor in high school and everything, and did a few times. She done probably emailed us, "Hey, we got one of our kids over there. This is what they've been looking. Y'all check on that." And what that does is, guys, for those that don't know, it gives us real time alerts of things that kids may be researching that they shouldn't, right? And so it also helps us to see if there's a pattern of things that's been going on. Like, wow, this person, all they're doing is talking about harming themselves. Now they're talking about these videos or something they're watching. They're kind of dark, and again, talking about harming themselves, or what do I do about if how do I deal with bullying? So you can be able to correlate, right, the behaviors that they have versus to some of the things they see from a social media standpoint. Then on top of that too, to the personal pages that they may post, it helps you to be able to close the gaps. And I don't know how many parents are aware of that that's being in our school systems or whatnot. And if you're not, it's something I just say that was one of the things that as my mama was, she was all in. You got to go and ask some questions, and find out what are the things that are there at the school. What are all the resources that are there at the school as well too. I think I'm sorry. DJ, can just go ahead.
So you got one of the kids over at your school and you see online.
Yes, ma'am.
So do y'all ever address?
Yes, I actually had that happen Friday. I had a kid researching some things that they had no business doing, and I nipped it in the bud right then and there. And that's a part that, not trying to get off subject, but that's something that we also, I think Ms. Lynn touched on it earlier when it comes to teaching your kid good character, right? It starts at home. And that's something that we have to keep in mind of letting our kids know that what they search on the internet, you're building a profile of yourself in a sense. And I don't think it registers that way with them. And so that's something that we have to keep in mind. Even for parents, we have to educate them on that as well too, that it's building a profile for your kid on the stuff that they're researching and looking online a lot. And so
bulliers.
Mhm.
Where's the bully?
Yeah, the bully.
Yeah. Because it pulls up things, interactions that they have, and the kids are sometimes too scared to come and say anything.
Right.
But then we can follow trends of this one kid has been saying these things, and all of a sudden they've been talking to 25 other kids. Well, now these 25 kids don't know, or maybe it only happened, like Miss Lynn said, one time.
Mhm.
Well, if this one kid is saying these things to multiple people, it's going to alert us, and then we can address it with that one student,
Right.
which is pretty awesome. That that's one way technology is helping us.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's again, just talking about the resources that are in the school systems. That's one that we have, and of course, you still have your guidance counselors. They still do their part to be able to help and do what they need to do. I know with some parents and even some people that work in the school system, with now having a mental health coordinator, they're like, "Oh, that takes place with the counselor." No, it don't, not necessarily. Um, Counselors are always going to be, like Ms. Lynn said, there's a chain of command, right? And they are always going to be vital in the school system, no matter what school system you're in, no matter what your perception of how they use or what they do. That's fine. But they're always going to be essential in the school system. The mental health coordinator, what helps with them now is they tap your family into additional resources that are there, that are offered beyond the school system. So if there's some psychological things that are going on with your kid, they can tap you into some other resources, some other trained professionals when it comes to counseling or whatever it is that may need to be. And they are it's been a working marriage, I would say, with the school system and that component with offering those resources for your child. We have a couple of kids I know of who have a counselor who comes in and speak to them, once or twice throughout the week, have their little sessions and whatnot, and it's helpful. And the thing that helps with that is, and I challenge parents on this as well too, you have to be transparent with what your child is going through and what they're facing. The more you try to pacify it and close it in and try to protect, you really hurt more. um, you really have to just lay all the cards out on the table as far as what your child may be dealing with, and that way, the resources that you have and come about, they have the true picture of what's going on. You can't go to the doctor and you have blood pressure problems, and tell the doctor, "Oh no, I've been good with my blood pressure," and it's reading 180 over 120, 145 or something like that. And you like, yeah, but it's fine. I just had a little ham sandwich this morning. Or doggone well, ate pork and everything else for the last 3-4 days, doing all those things that are wrong. So, it's the same parallel. Mr. Sherfield, my boss, does a great analogy of that. He always says, if you have medicine that you have to take for your blood pressure and everything like that to keep yourself alive, right? Then aren't you going to do the same thing for anything else was required of you to do to keep everything going afloat? Like, yeah, okay then. So be transparent when you have these resources and things that are offered to you. I saw your hand.
Yeah, and yes, you did, but then I thought about what I was about to say, not be too heavy for this, so I won't mention it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, yes, ma'am. But that's as far as for my spill on bullying. I honestly don't think it's going to be something that's going to go away. Of course, we got different age groups in this room. I'm quite sure with every age group in this room, everybody can say, "Yeah, I faced it and seen it in some form of fashion." And especially with the world of technology making things faster, we talked about the benefits of it as well. But what it does also too, it makes the world a little bit closer and smaller than we actually realize. And so my challenge is always has been going back to my first point I made earlier, having parents understand that, to take off those your pair of ears that you have and put on a whole new set that are completely clean and clear. I think that would allow you to assess the situation that you have in front of you before you exactly for what it is, and it would also put you in that angle and direction as well too to go and find whatever resources that are out there as well, and put your best foot forward in helping your child. I think the biggest mistake I've seen when it comes to parents and helping their children with bullying, if there has been a misstep, is they have gone in with a closed mindset already. And that's been the most common biggest mistake. You go into open mind, I think everything else will be able to be easier to address and be able to correct.
If you will, just reiterate the, the protocol. So if a parent takes their ears off and is listening,
Mm-hmm.
and they perceive that their child could very well be being bullied,
Mm-hmm.
what should their next step be?
When you said, I thought about like different situations, because that could be the child saying that the teacher is bullying. That, you got to address that in a way differently than it is when they're being bullied by a peer, right?
Absolutely.
So I still say that the protocol is, even with that being said, you still have to make sure that you can't go in for one, stressing the fact you can't go in for one and bombard in the front office and the name of the child that you got, you need to see them up in the office right now. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. When you do that, you actually make things worse because now we have SROs at the school system. If you up there irate and being belligerent and everything else, see now we can't even address the issue of your child. We got to get you out the building now. And then that makes it worse for the child because if they're already being bullied, whether it's from a teacher, administrator, or a peer, now they got to deal with the fact that, man, my mom and my dad just got pulled up out of here with the police. And I got to come right back in the school building again when everybody's trying to wonder why that happened. I'm already dealing with this issue, and then I got to deal with this as well. So take your step back, debrief, come into the school system, and wherever school where you at, ask them if you don't know, how can this be addressed? What is the change? Who do I need to speak to first? That probably be the first thing you ask and say. And then whoever it is at the office, will direct you to who you need to go to. If they feel like, hey, we need to go directly to the principal or the assistant principal, then they'll do that. But I'm telling you, from my seat as being an assistant principal, if something came directly to me and it was dealing with this matter at hand, I'm going to pull my team in with the guidance counselor. And we got if it has to go to the mental health coordinator, we're going to bring them in as well, too. And I think I can say for everybody in the school system, we would do the same thing because we can't handle it by ourselves. We got all these resources within the school to help us nip these things in the bud. So I would say first and foremost, calm yourself down. I know it's your baby, right? But dial it back, come in, address them, let them know, the front desk assistant, whoever it may be, and ask them, how can I get help to address this issue? And I think from there, it will go where it needs to.
I do have a question. How does a parent, suggest that a parent goes by if dealing with teacher or staff is the book? So because when you come in the office, it's automatic. For me, it would be an automatic shield because So how would you advise?
Email.
Yeah.
Email. The
Email.
reason why I say that is because that if you, like for me at the high school, if you email the counselor or the principal or whatever and say, hey, I have concerns regarding XYZ, then the principal, counselor, whatever, can then give you a call and say, let's set up a meeting that we can talk. So if you're coming in upset and the principal, counselor, whoever does not know what the situation is, then they can't get all the information that they need immediately to pursue that. And a lot of times our administrators will call you immediately, hey, what's going on? Can you talk to me about what's going on? And then they can then set a meeting with them. So my big suggestion is either give them a call and say, hey, I need you to call immediately, or send them an email. So at least you can get an immediate release, like having a conversation with them immediately. Because if you come up there, they could be off campus.
Yeah.
They could be out of town.
Yeah.
They could be in another meeting, and then you're not getting that immediate response that a lot of the parents are wanting. And I know I have 4 kids. I want to run up there and like beat somebody up. But my husband's sitting here as a police officer, I can't do that. Nor as I work at the high school. I understand all of those emotions. And I don't know where your child is, but if you have a relationship with the counselor, call us. That's what I do at the high school. Call us, because that's we're there as a help to parents. Because if the kid is having difficulties, I'll pull the kid out, because I don't want to put a kid in that situation right there. If your kid's texting you, say, hey, this is going on, send me an email. Call me immediately. I'll go get the kid out of that situation. Then I will take it to my principal and say, hey, this is what's going on. And then the principal and you can have a conversation. But my job is to get the kid out of that situation immediately.
And I would add to that, one thing I want to add to that is we got to think about what the topic we're dealing with, right? And that bullying, and especially when you're talking about your child being bullied by teacher, admin, or just an adult.
Mm-hmm.
emotions are going to be at an all-time high. So when you do email, it's like we tell teachers when they write down a referral, deal with facts. Don't go in and all caps and everything else, because you got to think, I always tell people, we're human just like you are, right? And so when you deal with just the facts of the nature at hand, it's easier for the situation to be directly handled. Secondly, keep your track record of documentation as well. That email, that's black and white. It's time stamped, right? It's time stamped. I reached out here, and next time you come back around and say, hey, I called you guys on Monday. Yeah, y'all 48 hours, haven't heard anything. Here we are Wednesday, just trying to follow through and see what's going on. Even if you want to just say, even if you just want to reach out to the teacher per se, because I remember there was a time where teachers always reached out to kids, parents. Hey, just checking in, let you know your child was doing this or whatever it may need to be. Maybe a hit and miss with that going on nowadays, right? Because there's more on teachers than it used to be. But keep your documentation. Keep your documentation on how often you have tried to reach out to this parent. I'm not to the parent, but to the school. So you can have that being what it is. And see, when you have that documented and you just dealing with the facts, it's hard to say that this is just a parent that's being irate over something that just it's not that big of a deal. It's a consistent, parallel, clear message every single time. I'm just trying to reach out to my child about this case that's been brought. I'm just trying to get to the nature of the business of it consistently. And of course, as we always tell parents, and I think anybody higher up above me, they'll let you know if you can't get anybody at ground level, you do have the board that you can go to as far as the Board of Education and try to get some things out. But I don't foresee it getting to that point because somebody would have got back in contact with you by that time. At least I would hope they would.
That was good. Anyone else with some questions, comments? Just on the school end? As you mentioned earlier about the graduation coaches, any schools that have those, I tell my students if something is going on, you are welcome to text me.
Right.
So just like the counselor said, if they text me, I'm going to text the school.
That's right. Right.
So we just have to follow the protocol.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions for him? All right, Mr. Milner. Thank you. We appreciate you. All right. So let's see where we are. Okay. All right. So now we're going to jump right in. Yeah, I'm figuring it out. That's all right. I'm figuring it out. I'm moving on. Oh, I don't know what I did. So thank you. All right. So we are going to now move into, we talked about our takeaways. Let's talk about the types of bullying because we haven't really talked about that. This thing is so interesting to me because sometimes it won't do what I want it to do. All right, so types of bullying. We talked about the physical. All right, we kind of mentioned that. We didn't say a whole lot about the verbal, but the jokes. We talked about the joking, and some of us love to joke, but we have to make sure that we stay within the boundaries of it. The social and relational. So you have to think about sometimes children who are bullies will tell other children, you can't talk to her because we don't like her. That's bullying. They'll say, oh no, we don't play with her. Because now you're trying to influence someone else to mistreat someone. All right. And then the cyberbullying. Of course, that's a huge issue. Huge. And parents, we have to stay on top of that. Physical bullying, you know what it looks like. Like this as well. And look at the young lady back here is bystander. All right, but look at her smiling. Not trying to say stop. Not saying bus driver. She's hurting her or pulling her hair. verbal bullying, the laughing, the whispering, oh my goodness, the name calling, spreading rumors, all of that. Even with the social and relational, the excluding a child, telling people not to be their friends, that all of that. Now, social media, the cyberbullying. All right, so social media, it's that 24/7, you can't get away from it kind of thing. A child came to me, she said, someone is putting my name on Facebook, but I don't know them. Remember, children can create pages with unknown names, fake names, silly names. And then now you have a problem because you don't know who's doing it.
I will say this though. Conference or something I went to, they was talking about how patterns you can find on social media with kids with those pages.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that trends, they all gonna jump on.
That's right.
So if there's like they're not gonna use their like real name. They use a portion of it, their nickname, or whatever little tag they can put with it. That's what's going viral right now.
Yes.
If it's Facebook jail, whatever.
That's
like,
what they
you see that a lot. That's probably one of the easy ways you can attach yourself to, finding out where your child's page is, because you may think that you're on top of all of them. Now, I had a situation once before a couple of years back where a child had like 3 different pages and the mom didn't know anything about it. Right. So, it's like you said, it's a 24/7 on the day job. But parents have to always learn themselves as well as far as what's trending, what's going on out there. That's just one thing just to stay on top of, like whatever that may be trending that you see.
And they have hidden apps like fake calculator apps that looks like the regular calculator.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's some kind of social media, something that you can click on.
Yeah.
So there are parents who have decided not to give their children cell phones or not to allow them on social media sites. And they're doing that in most cases to protect their children, to protect them. So we have to think about how to protect them. The issue that I had with that child who, she kept seeing that, of course, I went straight to the school. So the assistant principal and I started, and then we started working with the SRO, trying to figure this out. And it was upsetting to this young lady, the things that they were saying. Okay, so parents, we have to stay on top of all of that. 34% and probably now more teens have reported being victims of cyberbullying. 1 in 6 high school students, they've already experienced it, at least that many. Any questions or comment about cyberbullying? And then we're going to turn things over and let the Opelika's Finest, OPD, take the floor. Any comments though about the cyberbullying? Because we sometimes just think these phones are toys. They are not. Yes, it is a whole computer. It is the access portal to a whole new world that is totally dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. All right. So we got to be very careful with this.
I was going to say my other comment. Like there's a thread. You can always pick a thread sometimes with these pages and who their followers are, who their friends are. Because a lot of times you might have those friends in common. You can go in and you can find. You click on them and you can go find who their friends with, and it's a big swirl, and it comes back to time. They're so smart, they're stupid that they will. That they'll have, this is their page, Easter Bunny, so and so and such and such. But they're real. They befriended themselves on the page too, and so like you said, it comes around. So it takes them some doing and some time and to a lot to follow that thread. So that's just another. I just think that's another.
Yeah, because along with that, you also have to think about there are parents who say they don't know their child's password. They don't know their child's anything, because of privacy, but you are then putting them in harm's way. We have to be able to know what's going on. How can you supervise what you don't know? You have to know those types of things. All right. Any other comments?
But Lena, I have to ask you on that what you said. How do you get a strong-willed child to give you that information if they don't want to?
Turn the phone off.
Turn the phone off, took the phone, but I still don't have that information.
Mm-hmm. Some of them, they get kind of out there and you may not get it, but if they don't have access to it, that's going to help you.
I think that comes back to whatever you choose to give your child a phone. It's almost like you, for lack of better words, like you get a contract with them. You lay the bylaws out or whatever it is from the inception of from day one. Not saying that you have anything like that, but this is something again when they talk to parents, because this is an ongoing conversation too, right? Of matters with the child and their phone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you're the one that purchased it. You're the one that's paying for the plan. Yeah, it's your phone because I'm allowing you to have it.
Right.
But I think wherever in the midst of it where that perception is lost, that's where we get into the questions and problems of getting the reality and truths of the kid. They have to always know that I am allowing you to have this privilege.
And I don't know if you probably have this too going on. They'll get somebody else's phone and log on to their Instagram on somebody else's phone. So even if you take the phone from them, they're going to. Oh yeah.
Okay. Just to be real clear, that this is, my house, our home.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get real comfortable, like when you put a child on punishment, and when then you pretty much put yourself on punishment too. So when you give them a phone, you feel like you should be able to reach them and whatnot. But when you take the phone away, now you feeling it like disempowered because now you can't connect with them. But I guess you have to be willing to not be in control of it all, because you can only control what you can control. And so you go log on to your friend's phone, but that's your integrity issue. That's not mine. Mm-hmm. And I know you, my child, want to protect you and make sure you're good. But if you choose to go outside of what it is I've given you as a guideline, then honestly, they have to learn responsibility. It is absolutely on you. I don't want whatever is going to befall you because you made that choice. That is on you. Mm-hmm. And so somehow, some kind of way you got to figure out how to let it go. Mm-hmm. Let it go, because you can only control what you can control, and we really can only control ourselves, and that's hard enough. That's hard enough. And we are talking about children, but we really are. It's almost like we really are not talking about children.
Yeah. No, because we're talking about all of us inclusive.
Yeah.
If you know that what they're doing is harmful, then for parenting, do all you can to supervise that and supervise it well. And even if that means them not having the access. If you know they're doing something harmful and they're going to sites that are inappropriate, if you know all of it, try to keep them as safe as possible. Yes, at some point they're going to go there anyway, but you do your part. All right. So now we're going to turn it over to OPD. We have, let me see if I can get it up because I want to. All right, we ready. We have Officer Vickers who's going to come and start talking to us. Good to have you, Officer Vickers.
Thank you, guys. I hate that I didn't dress in my uniform and such for this, but this is a Saturday, and I feel like it was a good forum to come in and talk. Miss Lynn has done an excellent presentation on bullying, and we all kind of got an idea now of what bullying is and that kind of thing. What I would like to bring home is a few things. As parents, I want to give you guys some guidance. You know, I've got kids of my own. I got 4. We don't want anything to happen to our kids. And the first thing we do when we hear that something's happened to my kids, whether it be at school, on the bus, at a friend's house, or whatever, we get angry and we want to go over there and we want to fix it, right? Kind of goes off what my wife says right there. But like we've been talking about too, is our kids are watching us.
Yes.
What better way to teach our kids is when they come home with a problem, they're going to watch how you handle that problem.
Absolutely.
So take a second, listen to what your kid said, just like Mr. Miller said, take your ears off and get you set. That's when you got to calm down, listen to what the kid has to say about the problem that they're having, and then take a minute, ask more questions if you're not fully aware of it, so that too you could find out, like you said, was that an accident? Did you perceive what they said or what they did as not the right way? And so, because what I don't want to happen, and I see it every day, or we see it a lot, is kid comes home from school, says, "Hey, mom, guy on the bus, called me a name or did something to me." Most of the time, if the parent knows where that people lives, well, they go get in the car and they drive over there. They take the kid with them. So now, mom or dad or whatever has gone, taken their self over to somebody else's property, onto their property, banging on the door, and then they're not going to be in the best behavior when they're there. So most likely those people are going to get up and angry. They're going to then call the police, and then we're going to get there. So what was probably something that could have been handled through the school is now in the hands of the police department to help and fix. So then you get instead of the kids level, it becomes on the parents level. Then here comes the police. Well, what we're going to do then is we're going to end up doing police report, right? Whether it be, and what's going to end up happening is what happened to start it is going to be way down here, and we're going to be dealing with what you did after you found out this information. Now you're going to get harassment from a trespass, disorderly conduct case or whatever. Then you're going to come to court. Then you're going to be out all kinds of money. So I stress, please take your time, cool down. If it happened on the bus, it happened at school, just like the teachers and everybody said, please take a breath the next day, and even at night, assure your child, hey, I'm going to handle it. I'm going to show you how to handle it. We're going to take the high roads, what we like to call it at home, is the high road. So I'm going to go to the school, or I'm going to call the school, whichever one that, I know me. I know I can keep my cool. So everybody knows themselves. Some people can't keep their cool. They get so excited, they might need to do the phone call or the email. If you can keep your cool, then I would suggest, maybe going by the school, go into the front lobby there and ask to speak with someone. Let them know that your child came home yesterday or the day before, whatever, and had something happen to them. They will point you in the right direction, whether it be a counselor, a teacher, or whatever, and let them know what happened. And we're teaching our kids how to handle conflict, how to handle what really happened to you and such. Am I getting out of the picture?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So, and most likely, your problem is going to be handled, and then you're teaching your kid a bunch of things. You're teaching them that bullying or whatever happened to you is not okay. You're teaching them, wow, my mom and dad, they took my side, right? That's what we're going to do. And we showed them how to properly fix it, handle it, right? So, because yes, because just like I used the example of you going to their house, that could be the same thing as if you get in your car the very next day or that day, if there's enough time, and you drive to the school. You're excited. You're not going to be thinking in your normal self, right? And then, what is our job as a SRO? Like for me, one of my jobs is I'm a lieutenant in the police department. I'm over the SRO program. So those guys work for me. And so I have some hands in with the SROs, right? And their main job is to make sure that everybody, including your kids and staff and everybody, are safe. We want to teach them to, guide them, mentor them, but we want to make sure they're safe. So when they see a parent, most of the time they may not know you, right? So they don't know that something's coming on, but here comes a parent inside the school. They're irate, they're cussing. It's no, right? And so there again, it's going to get yourself into a problem where maybe they ban you from coming to the school. I've seen that happen before. And so, yes, ma'am.
You said a question. I mean, you mentioned it earlier.
Sure.
So you said, and we they took my side. So how important? Because with my son, that's his main thing. Well, you always take their side,
right?
In the situation, you didn't take my side,
right?
So
well, that's where, like, I got that as a kid coming home from school. In my generation, is the teacher is always right. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, if you had a problem, it ain't the teacher. It was something you did, right? So, and I say that to say this is when your kid comes home and they say something happened to them or whatnot, something, whatever, ask them questions so that you could help understand what they saw, what they went through, and find out so that ensure them you're not taking a side at this point. I care for you. I love you. I am your protector, and ask these questions so you can figure out how to help them. You're not taking sides at this point, really. I mean, you are taking sides because you're a kid first, right? But you're asking questions so that then you can educate them too. Hey, maybe could we have helped? My son hates this too. I do this to him a lot. He comes home with a problem. I'm like, hey, well, what could you have done a little different? Did you try to leave? Did you walk away? Did you go tell somebody? What did you do? Did you and your friends go? Did you go get your friends, and then you and your friends go deal with this kid? Well, all that stuff stems off of stuff that should never have happened. We got to talk to our kids, and teach them.
That's where the email comes in when you're speaking to your kid about a situation that happened. Like, but you're listen to the situation and say, I even take notes if I forget some. And I'm writing things down and say, okay, well, I would like to email your teacher, counselor, whoever tomorrow or tonight with these concerns that you have given me. And let's figure out how we need to address that. So you're listening to your child, and then now you're using the information that your child's given you and coming up with some type of solution to help him in that moment that you are understanding. So it's not side taking, it's just that you are listening to him. And then once pieces, even as adults, you get some pieces, kids get some pieces. Once we all get together, we can come up with a solution to make it better. And again, that's like what he was saying, that you're teaching them how to handle a situation and come together and not just go off like a blue blazing like I would, and calmly come to a resolution that comes to that. So you're doing all of those things all at one time.
And it's hard when your kid comes home or your child comes home and they say something's happened to them, because one, we feel like we failed them at some point or whatever, that we wasn't there to protect them, right? We can't be with our kids all the time. We got to just be able to educate them on how to handle it and what to do, and assure them that I'm going to do everything in my power so it doesn't happen again. Now, sometimes the end result doesn't happen as quick as we would like. There's been times that I've dealt with my own problem at a school, and actually at my job, where I've said, hey, this is going on with me and a coworker. I need some help. I want it fixed just like, I want it fixed right then. It may take a few days. Just know that sometimes when you have something happen at school, bullying or whatnot, they're going to investigate it. It takes some time. Give them the time. If you don't like what it is, then reach back out. Hey, I don't understand why. And let them give you that why or whatever. Another thing I want to kind of touch back on, because right before I came up here and started talking, cell phones was a big, huge thing that we were talking about then. my child, or my youngest boy, well, middle of boy, right? I gave him a phone. I guess he was probably 12, maybe 11ish, 12. I gave him a cell phone. My idea of giving him a phone was, what's one thing that once you give your kid something, your phone, what are you always going to see them in their hand every time you see them? That phone, right? And so I wanted that for me so that I knew where my kid was. Now, when I gave it to him, we had a talk. It wasn't, hey, here's a Christmas present, a phone, have fun. These kids are very smart, way smarter than we are with technology and phones
Absolutely.
and everything else, right? And they know about these apps and things before we do, before the police do, before anybody else. That's where you got to do some front end work. You got to talk to your kids and say, hey, this phone, I'm giving you a phone. It's got capabilities to do a lot of things. It could help you. It could hurt you. All these different things. I mean, it's a computer. You can do anything with them. Now, as in, say, I think someone said earlier about not having the kid's password or whatever to get in the phone, right? Know that there's avenues for that. Okay. If you have your child, you feel like is looking at something inappropriate or been doing things that are not right on that phone, and you try to talk to your child and say, hey, I need the password so I can get in there and look at your phone. And they're like, I ain't going to do it. Nope, not going to do it. Well, that's where I would have my child, let them, if everything's, depending on your situation, okay? If in a good situation, you're like, okay, well, I need your phone. Okay, he gives you your phone or she gives you the phone. Well, they're like, well, they can't get in that. They're wrong. So then what you would do then is you would go to the police department, probably Monday through Friday between like 8 and 5, okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I just say that because I don't clarify why I say 8 to 5 in just a minute. So we have an investigator at the PD that his job is he deals with cell phones. He's been to classes. We've bought him expensive equipment, and that he could do what we call dump your phone. So basically, what that means is he could use your phone and go in there without having to have a password and such, and get anything and everything off that phone. You, being the parent, owner of that phone, can authorize that detective to do that. That's why I say 8 to 5, because that's usually the hours that he works. Unfortunately.
You said 8 to 5?
8 to 5. Now, granted, let me preface this real quick, okay? It's got to be something pretty stout for this to happen, because that takes a lot of resources, and that takes him away from other resources, like whether it be felony type cases, crimes, and that kind of thing. But there is an avenue if you are having problems with your kid that you could get in there, and he may even know, and I'm sure he does, more ways to get in that information without even having to use him, right? But that's where you just kind of teach.
Is there a way to take it to I don't know this, to like your carrier service and have them reset it, dump it, like if Verizon, take it to the Verizon place?
That's a good question. I don't know that. For example, I know that if you're the parent account holder, and they're listing them as a child, because they don't want to get into that liability of, they're taking who they're talking to as face value, whose phone you have as face value, that kind of thing. I think if you used to go there, they would probably do everything they can to help you, and most likely could get in there, or at least shut that phone down and give them another one or whatnot. See, like on my son's phone, when I first gave it to him, I paid, I think it was $10 a month. It may be more, maybe less now, I don't know. And it gave me the capability to know exactly where he was. It's kind of like that Life 360, but without the Life 360 that he could deal with. I controlled it, and it was on his phone before he got it. And it told me too, I had to okay certain type apps that they want to download and stuff like that. So there's all these things. I know I'm getting way away from bullying, and I apologize.
But that's good information
But
for parents.
but there's things, like I said. Just go ahead.
But I think maybe not getting too far away from bullying, because kids turn around and bully you with the fact that I won't give you my phone. My mindset is I will factory reset that phone. We will have nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say this too. We've all said here today. We've really focused on parents and bullying being at home.
Mm-hmm.
Bullying happens in the workplace.
Everywhere.
It happens at work. You could have a salesperson that's a bully.
Yes.
You know, so it happens.
Your kid, like you're saying, your kid could be bullying us as parents, trying to make us feel guilty about it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's and again, everything in like for the police department side. Okay, the law is what it is. Okay, but it's what do we always say? It's the interpretation of how we read it or how we interpret it. So you've got to sit back and you've got to look at things from, like, for me, what may be harassment to me is not harassment to you.
That's right.
And what's harassment to you, I'm maybe like, man, that's just, you just need to get some thicker skin.
Right.
But it is harassment. That's not for us to decide. We're going, our job as the police department is to help you, to solve your problem best we can, do the report. A lot of times we have to, count on the court system to help and that kind of thing. So I hope I've kind of talked a good bit about it. Like I said, the bullying, it can happen everywhere, but I challenge each parent just to slow down, listen to what the kids say, ask them more questions, and teach them how to truly handle the problem by taking a deep breath, think about it, sleep on it. Because like for me at work, one of my best things my supervisor ever told me to do at work was, if you ever have a problem with a coworker, or if you ever have a problem with someone else, like if you send an email, type the email up, take a breath, go home for the day, come back the next day, read that, pull that email up, and think about it again before you deal with it. Don't deal with it right then, because then your emotions is leading you.
That's right.
And not the situation. So we need to teach that to our kids. Just watch what we do, because they watching us. Because my boy growing up watched me, everything I did, things we say.
That's right.
And so how we treat each other, how we treat our spouse, how we treat them, and so they watch us. So if y'all, do you have any other questions for me or anything like that? I know anybody.
No, I'm good.
I kind of helped him to be fair to the officer. He wasn't prepared to know that he was going to speak today, and so after listening today, I felt like, hey, I think I can handle this for you today, and so here we are. So
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Good job. Good job. Good job. Oh, listen at that.
Having a resource, one of the parts, like having a resource to be able to go to the police department, not waste their time with resources, but if something happens, that is an avenue.
Yes, because and just like the school system, the police department has tons of things and resources that we can point you in the right direction with.
Right.
Not only, whether it be some things, we have no help workers now, PD, this something that I'm having to adjust to that we've never had before.
Right.
We have that now. And so we're going to do everything we can to help you. Some of us, we're all trying to help. Yes.
Yeah, that was great information about the dumping the information. That was definitely good information. Since we are on Facebook and YouTube, if anybody has a question on Facebook, this is a perfect time for them to put it in the comments so that we can make sure we handle those questions as we kind of round the bend to a close. All right. So Mr. Mitchell was not able to join us. I want to go back to something right here. So parents, yeah, all this technology. There we are. All right. Yeah. So we really tried to hone in on what parents can do. All right. That was one of the main points of this. Understand, listen to your children, and then what do you do as a parent? Pay close attention to them. Some children are not going to tell you they're being bullied. They're not. They want to tell you, but can't bring themselves to that point. If you watch them, though, you know something is different. Something is different. Sometimes I call that screaming out in silence. They're screaming, but nobody can hear them. All right? Thank you, thank you. All right, make sure you listen to them. And we have reiterated that over and over and over. Listen, listen, listen. Okay? Investigate. Think about what they're saying. Ask questions. What else? What happened? When did it happen? All of that. Empathize with them and follow proper protocol no matter what. Follow proper protocol. All right. Let's see. Report to the school authorities. We talked about involve the police if that's needed. Seek professional groups and help. Now, bystanders, please don't just stand there. We talked about not putting yourself in harm's way. However, you can always get help. You can scream for help. Instead of videoing what's going on, why not on your phone contact somebody for help? But try to help and not just watch as someone else gets hurt. Where do we fit in the cycle? So remember, there's a bully, there's the one being bullied, and there's the one watching or knowing about it. This, if you would scan, it gives you just a quick little trailer about this movie. This was a really good movie. It was back in 2011, but it was a really good movie to let you know it's about cyberbullying, how quick that thing takes off. And so some girls, mean girls that didn't like this girl, started putting information, online, and it turned this child's life upside down. So we have to be careful about all of that. If your child is not eating anymore and they used to eat all the time, why? What stopped them? They don't want to go to school. We mentioned that early. Why? What's the reason? Their friends, they don't even want to hang out with them anymore. Why? Something happened. All right. We, as the parents, the grandparents, the guardians, we've got to pay attention to our children and make sure we know what's going on and why was there a change. Why was there a change? All right. Any comments, takeaways, questions? Let me check the chat. Comments and see if there are any questions on Facebook. Any comments or questions at this point? Because we're going to finish this up offline with the group that's just here. All right. Any other questions? I don't see anything. I'm not even up there. I don't see anything on Facebook. All right. So we're going to end the live. And we thank everybody for joining. Go to www.parenting911.org. All right. For any other questions. And thank you.